Okay, how about that Robotaxi rollout? Did you guys see that? What did you think? I want your comments. I want you to tell me what you think. And I also want the people who just don't like Tesla or don't like Elon Musk, I want you to give me your assessment. Before I get into that, listen, thanks for coming back. Please like, subscribe, share the video, and if you wouldn't mind, leave a comment down below. Now, I don't want to sound biased when it comes to Tesla. So let me explain what I mean by that. I make a lot of videos on this channel about Tesla. I'm a big fan of the company. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, SpaceX, and everything they do. Now, first and foremost, I'm an investor. I've been investing in this company since 2017. I don't take the approach of any investment I do with rose-colored glasses. I am very discerning. I do my research, and I do research on Tesla probably more than anybody on YouTube that you watch in videos. I do probably 8 hours a day just researching my investment. Not taking videos, not doing, all the other stuff that so-called creators do. I don't consider myself a creator anyway. I'm just a guy who talks about things he likes. Tesla happens to be one of them. But the rollout happened on Sunday. I was so excited for the rollout that I barely slept Saturday night. And I got up in the morning, and as you all know, it was delayed, first of all, for 6 hours. I think it was pushed back. Supposed to start off at noon, and then it was pushed back another 2 hours, which frankly, it really amused me. And the reason it amused me is because the media, the negative media, or the bears, or whatever you have, the shorts, whatever you want to call them, they were already pushing out the negative stories. Oh, it's a flop. It didn't launch. They're not prepared. They're not ready. Nothing's going right. It's not going to happen. The cars are going to be crashing into each other. This is going to be a giant disaster, blah, 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 blah. And I spent most of my morning actually on X and YouTube looking for updates. And then I got into Spaces. There's some guys that do Spaces on X. If you've never been to Space on X, you should do it. It's really cool. Anyway, I know most of the people watching my channel are familiar with this because you're in tune with what's actually happening in the world of the modern world, should I say. So anyway, I'm on a Spaces on X, and we had some guys who were on the ground, and girls. They were on the ground in Austin. They had gotten the invite. I think you already know it was by invitation only. It was a select handful of people. And literally, we were doing a countdown. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Literally, like a minute before the actual launch, all of a sudden, somebody, I forget who it was. Maybe it was Omar or somebody, or no, maybe it was Sawyer Merritt. They said, oh my God, the app is just coming through on my phone. I can now log into the app. So then it began. Now, I don't need to go over all the details of all the different rides that day. There were a whole bunch of them. And there's enough of them on YouTube. There's enough of them on X. I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe what I'm telling you, go watch each and every one of them. Now, that Robotaxi has been out there for 3 days. And a couple of things, I'm going to talk about the things that went wrong. How about that? A couple of things that were noticeable was the fact that, first of all, the safety monitor, who was the person sitting in the passenger seat, you couldn't ask them questions. Now, I think the reason for that is they probably didn't know the answers. These are not engineers. I'd say they're regular employees who work over at Tesla or work somewhere. They may work for the AI team. I don't know. They may be the janitors. But, you know, you weren't supposed to speak to them. They were nice to the people in the Robotaxi. They were polite, but they didn't answer any questions. Good. They're not supposed to answer questions. Because the reason all these people were handed these invitations was because they wanted them to do an honest assessment and not have somebody who works for the company try to influence the answer to a question to the positive. So that worked out very well, by the way, contrary to what negative media are telling you. But anyway, those safety monitors did a fantastic job. Now, on the screen in the front of the car, they did have 3 or 4 buttons. There was one to stop the ride. There was one to do something else. And also the passenger has access to a screen. But if you watch the videos, you'll figure all that stuff out. I want to talk about a couple of things that happened. First of all, one of the guys decided there's a stop the ride button. And I think it was Farzad. I'm not sure which one it was. No, it wasn't Farzad. I forget who it was. But they decided that, you know, kind of in the middle of the ride, they would push the button to stop the ride. So the car stopped right in the middle of an intersection. Now they had the green light, but it did. It stopped in the middle of the intersection, and it took a minute. They had to call the service center, and it took a minute, but then it moved again. It never put any other cars in danger. I don't believe there was any danger of it causing an accident or it becoming involved in an accident. And I believe that the safety monitor could have done something to move the car or do something. They didn't choose to do that. And that impressed me. So, was it a mistake on the one hand? Yes. Was it impressive that the safety monitor wasn't sitting there panicking, trying to get the car out of the road? Yeah, that was very impressive. The car, and I mean a matter of seconds later, moved on and did its thing. The other one that was prominent on there was as Kim Java was in her ride, they had a glare situation. Now, it used to happen frequently. I have 12.6.4, which is the old software. It used to happen to me all the time before I got the most recent updates. It doesn't happen at all now. I had a situation about 3 days ago where I came around a corner and all of a sudden the sun was literally blaring in my face. And just like I would do as a human, it was kind of like, oh, you know, one of those quick, like, my God, I can't see. And the car hesitated for a second, but it didn't brake. It didn't come to a dead stop. So the same thing with Kim's car. Even though it braked hard and she lunged forward, obviously she had her seatbelt on, but it didn't fully stop. And then it took off again and everything was fine. So that was one. And there was a couple where there was one where I was trying to make a left turn and I was doing it incorrectly, and then it decided to go forward, but it stayed in the wrong lane. Now, there was no oncoming traffic. I know for a fact that had there been an oncoming car coming, or a vehicle, or a person, or a pedestrian, or a bicycle, or somebody on a skateboard, it would have moved over immediately, because that's what it does. So anyway, that you can call that an error, you can call it a mistake. Absolutely. Have you ever crossed over the yellow line yourself? Of course you have. We all have. We typically don't do it when there's oncoming traffic coming, unless we're not paying attention. The thing about the Tesla is it's always paying attention. So had there been an oncoming car coming, it would have moved out of the way. So that was another one. And then there were some where it would, you know, when it came to pick people up, it wouldn't stop exactly where they were standing. It might be 50 yards away or 60 yards away. So there was little bits and pieces of awkwardness there. Now, it is true it was a geofenced area, meaning it was a predetermined map. But today is day 3. Today is Wednesday. What struck me today was all the negative media reports, which, believe me when I tell you, were completely false and completely embellished, because I watched the originals. The great thing about having invitation only was the media couldn't alter the content. They couldn't. You know how they'll take video and they'll splice it and change it and put stuff over here, and they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that because, first of all, they weren't allowed to use the video footage from most of it. And a couple of the guys, actually, was really funny. Bearded Tesla guy, Justin, he got out of one of his Robotaxi rides, and there was a guy from Reuters there. And he said, you know, he said to Justin, would you talk about this? And Justin's like, who are you with? And he goes, Reuters. And he goes, no, I can't talk to you. Because the media can't tell the truth. I mean, you've experienced that, right? I know I have. It's backfired on me a few times. Years ago, I was involved in different political things and businesses, and I was asked a couple of times to, you know, for my opinion on something. I gave an honest opinion, and my words were completely changed in the narrative of the story that they were doing. And from that day until this, I have never since spoken to a reporter, nor will I. Thank God for X. Thank God we have somewhere to get the truth and get our news. But anyway, the Robotaxi rollout, day 3, Wednesday, and I started to get angry about some of the media posts and the negative stuff. And a lot of the people who got the invites are still there. And now more invites are rolling out. So more people are getting them. People are flying in there as of this morning. Omar from Holmar's catalog, he's down in Austin now. He has taken the Robotaxi on, I don't know, 15 or 20 trips, something like that. And they're giving legitimate assessments. You know, they would like, as soon as possible, for the safety monitor to go away. They would like to be able to sit in the passenger seat of the car. In other words, have more than 2 people, just, you know, 2 people in the back and a third person in the safety monitor seat. Omar, you know, they weren't allowed to put their camera devices in, you know, up on the ceiling, which is, or sorry, on the roof, the roof shield, the roof. We have glass roofs in these cars. I actually have my visor on right now because it's so hot here. But they weren't allowed to put their camera mounting systems up there, and, you know, other little bits and pieces like that. But there was nothing that was incredibly wrong about this. And the reason I'm doing this video is I don't invest money in stuff that doesn't work. I don't invest money in companies I don't believe in. I don't invest my time around people I don't believe in. My channel obviously is nothing. I have absolutely no reason to come on here and lie about anything, and I'm obviously not popular enough to where I could be doing some kind of pump and dump thing, you know, trying to raise the stock price, which is something I wouldn't do anyway. So, I mean, you can go through all the sources in the world, so-called credible sources. I'm telling you, when it comes to Tesla, I'm about as credible as it gets. And do I understand the technology? Do I understand the chips and the neural nets and the end-to-end and all this stuff that the really smart people talk about? No, I don't. But I do know this. There is no dishonesty within this company. There is no dishonesty within the rollout or the process of the rollout of Robotaxi. Now, if you come back to me in, let's say, a month, and there's still 15, they believe there's 15 Robotaxis, there's still 15 Robotaxis riding around, a few square miles, and there's still a safety monitor, and there's still sun glare issues, and it's still stopping in the middle of intersections, and it doesn't seem to be moving forward. If that's happening, I'll be the first to come back on here and tell you that's happening. But as of right now, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing something that's in day 3, and I keep saying day 3, and here's why. So let me get off that. If anything had gone majorly wrong, I can guarantee you it would be national headlines. It wouldn't just be national headlines. It would be international headlines. Because the international media, and obviously the domestic media, the mainstream media, they can't stand Elon Musk. And because they can't stand Elon Musk, they can't stand Tesla. They don't like SpaceX. They don't like Robotaxi. They don't even like Neuralink, which is going to alter people's lives in so many positive ways, it's mind-boggling. Let me breathe. So sorry, I get angry about this stuff. But the point is, if anything had gone wrong, you would know about it. I wouldn't need to be here telling you. The world would already know about it. It would be front page news and front page news on TV and in every media. Can you imagine what the Atlantic would do with this, or the Guardian, or any of those, the New York Times? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the stories that they would love to push out there about Elon Musk and about his failed Robotaxi? The truth is, it hasn't failed. And I said something to Omar today on X. I said, you know what, Omar? You know what I would love to have? I would love to have the data from the last 3 days in that geofenced area of every accident, something, hopefully there was no bad accidents, obviously, but even just police reports or some kind of data on fender benders in that geofenced area. And the next question I would have was, how many of those involved Robotaxi? And I can guarantee you 0. They would be 0. Look, this is working. And you're talking about, people talk about Waymo. It cost, they say between there's different assessments, between $175,000 and $220,000. Some say $230,000 to build a Waymo. A Waymo is not a car, by the way. It's a Jaguar that has to be purchased, which are kind of expensive. Then it has to be modified with all this cameras and lasers and LiDAR and all this really expensive stuff. And by the way, it looks as ugly as sin. It looks like it's got a big, hat, a bowler hat on it. And the Tesla, the Model Y that's driving around Austin right now, Robotaxi, you can buy online right now. You can go to Tesla.com, you can buy a Model Y, and you can, with the tax incentives and everything that's going on right now, it's like $3,000, something like that. That's the car that's driving around with nobody in the driver's seat. It's driving around Austin as we speak. So don't tell me that this is not working. And by the way, this car, every time it goes 10 yards, it's learning more and more and more and more. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's literally millions of those cars worldwide. And at the flip of a switch, every single one of those cars has the ability to do exactly what those cars are doing in Austin, Texas. Don't kid yourself. This is the future of transportation. And by the way, while everybody is focused on Austin, the the semi factory in Nevada, is well on its way to completion. And they will be ramping up production there of the Tesla Semi, which is already blowing all kinds of records as far as range, reliability, and savings to the trucking industry. That, by the way, also has the capability to be autonomous. Tesla just announced today that the Gen 3 or the version 3 Tesla Optimus is already in the works. It's already done. They're getting ready to release it. I mean, there is so much stuff going on. By the way, the windows at Giga Texas are darkened because they're moving in new production equipment for the ramp of something new. We don't know if it's Cybercab or if it's the new low-cost model, but all of this is happening while the entire world are focused on Austin, Texas. And let me tell you right now, Robotaxi is going to be the most disruptive technology, probably, I would say, since the automobile took over from the horse and carriage. Thanks for watching.